what is up, y'all? Welcome into Cardinalytics and Arizona Cardinals podcast, hosted by fans for the fans here on Tuesday, September 17th, after your Cardinals are victorious versus the LA Rams at home for the first time in, I don't know when, maybe 2014, I think is the last time, almost 10 years. But quickly want to introduce you to my co-hosts, my guys in here, Shaw, Jake. How you guys doing today?
Doing great. Thanks for everyone getting on. Looking forward to, first victory podcast in maybe, first real victory.
Yeah, I was gonna say since our Philly one, I think so. Yeah, since our Philly one. And you see my boy Shaw in the car.
Yeah, y'all can't see me right now, but I'm smiling ear to ear because that's a great victory that we had this weekend.
Yes,
absolutely, and we're glad
what we're supposed to do.
Yes, absolutely, 1,000%. So, luckily for us on our first victory podcast, I'm glad to be joined by the Cardinal Rule, aka Joe Como. How are you doing today? I appreciate you hopping on with us and joining us for our victory podcast today.
Yeah, I'm great. I mean, it's not just a victory podcast, right? This is like this win's different, right? It's like against the Rams at home. Like that hasn't happened since when? I don't even know. A blowout victory in a season where, a lot of people didn't have as high of expectations for the Cardinals as they have inside the building. They're in the year 2 of a rebuild. Even my expectations probably were, kind of tempered a little bit, like, okay, this is year 2, year 3's, when you hit the playoffs, year 2, you want to be frisky. And man, the way they won in the defense, and we'll get into all of it, but I'm legitimately excited. I know it's just one game. But when you add that to the fact that they, hung in there with the Bills, who are one of the best teams in the NFL, like it's just starting to feel like they're ahead of schedule.
Absolutely. Totally. It was great to see that. Jake, how you feeling, Jake? Talk to me.
And I think you know how I'm feeling, Corey.
Yeah.
Definitely feeling good. I feel like I go to bat every single day of my life, defending this team and making promises about this team. And it's for once, it feels great to be right, and I honestly wasn't even that confident. I really didn't see a universe in which we went out and pumped the Rams like we just did, to be completely honest with you. Like, I was hoping for, at best, a 10-point win. So that, far surpassed expectations. I know we're going to get into it, but, I would love to just call out PHNX podcast, specifically Johnny, just being so down in the defense, especially the defensive line, because the film doesn't lie, man. And I know, you saw these stats after the Bills game, but they were swarming, and they were getting to Allen, and he was making stuff happen and getting out of sacks. Matthew Stafford's a pocket passer, and he was not able to evade that. And it was great to see the defense play as well as they did. So looking forward to getting into this one.
Hey, couldn't have said any better myself, brother. So appreciate you. I want to start with Joe, because I know we only have you for a limited time today. Just kind of the main takeaway that you had from this game, maybe who you were most impressed by, or like I said, just the main takeaway that you might have had from this game.
Can I do 2? Will you?
Yeah, of course. Hey,
okay, because
give us 5 if you want to.
Yeah.
I'm going to do 2. There's so many, right? But let's start with the one, and I was tweeting about this. I know, Jake, I think you tweeted something about this too, and you've all been the same on board with this. I tweeted something about last year. Those of us who believed in Kyler Murray last year, we were lacing up our shoes, and this year we're starting our victory laps. I've been an ardent defender of Kyler when all the short jokes were happening, when all the study clause jokes were happening, when everyone talked about his attitude and whatever, and his maturity and whatever nonsense. And all along, I've been totally team Kyler and supporting. And you all see this. You get comments in the chat on video and comments on videos that are posted, and I get those all the time. And I've seen the comments, right? Like if you're a fan out there and you just watch, or maybe you're tuning into this or you watch my videos, you don't necessarily see all the comments that I see. I see every comment and I try to respond to all of them. So I've seen it. I mean, as someone who has been actively defending Kyler Murray, in multiple platforms, I've gotten responses to that, right? And had to defend it and had people just disagree with me harshly. And I know it's one game, but I mean, I've known that the arm talent was there, the leg talent was there, all the tools were there, and we're just seeing him in the right situation. So seeing the amazing game from Kyle, I mean, the superlatives are underselling how good his game was. You know, Dan Orlovsky said that film was top 5 player in the league, not top 5 quarterback, top 5 player in the league tape, right? So that's an obvious, that's a given. But for me, the one that, like, I knew Kyler could be this good, and you know, he won't be that good every game, but I think he's going to be really good, and I think he's going to push for an MVP contending kind of season. But the thing that to me that's more important is how well the defense played, because this defense, and I've said this and I even tweeted about this, the offense we knew would be there at some point, right? The players are there, Kyler's there, Marvin Harrison Jr., all the guys we love and know and love. The offense was going to be there. Everyone going into this, that wasn't everyone kind of, even people outside of Arizona were talking about how the offense was probably going to be really good. The defense was the question mark. And if the defense can be league average defense, this is a good playoff team. With that offense and a league average defense, this team is a playoff team and even could contend for the division if that defense can be league average, right? And they were better than league average against the Rams. Between the two games combined, they're around league average, middle of the pack. And we need to see them continue to do it. But to me, that is the thing. Didn't expect the defense to play this well. Was hoping it would be ranked. I was hoping these ranked somewhere around 20th, you know, like kind of top of the bottom third, if that makes sense. Right. And if they could get there, I thought they could be a team that could contend for a wild card spot. But if they can be league average or better, and they've got to keep that up. But this team could be really dangerous if they can do that.
Jacob Shaw, you want to follow up towards that?
I would love to. I think Jim, I was kind of right there with you, kind of going into the season. Like I said, I talk a lot of ball, obviously with these guys, with my friends, and obviously, like, you know, like I see everything too, Joe, as far as like comments and like what people say about Kyler, obviously the team in general. I was hoping, like, if the defense can be like go from like 30th, I think it was last year, it was bottom 3 for sure. But I was hoping if we could go from around that bottom 3 to like 24th, like we'd have a good shot at least making a wild card game with this offense. And like you said too, like a lot of like the national media was saying like, oh, like this could be a top 10 offense, whereas from what I saw last year, like to end the season, the way Kyler was playing with like literally the worst defense in the league, it was like we all knew like this offense is special, and like this chemistry between Kyler and JG, Kyler and Petzing, with Izzy, like obviously things were gelling, and Kyler looked really good. And it was the first time, you know, like those last like 8 games that we got to see Kyler Murray play football like in an actual thought out system, without just being like, all right, we're going to spread the field and go with this like air raid attack and let Kyler just, you know, snap the ball in shotgun 99% of the game and then just throw it up to DeAndre Hopkins or scramble, right? Like being able to see like an actual set of schemes on the football field and like how Kyler Murray fits into that. It's like, there's a reason why this guy is, you know, like touted as the best high school quarterback ever. He's a Heisman winner. Like, and like the funniest part to me too is like he is like, you know, 5'10", and he's much smaller than these savants, you know, Mahomes, Allen. But he like, and to this day too, even after like he's proved it, like so far in the first 2 games, like he's been the guy. People will still like put these memes out, right? Like the one of Marvin Harrison, and like you can barely see Kyler's head above the screen, and like the miniature Kyler on, you know, like throwing the football. It's like, if anything, like those memes are now just starting to make him look even more impressive, which I think is funny. But yeah, man, like Joe, like you were saying about the defense, the offense, in my opinion, is going to be top 3. And like you heard Marv say in the post-game press conference, he thinks that, you know, the entire offense thinks that they can be the best in the league, which I don't even think that's a stretch based on the way the statistics are telling the story to this point. Obviously it's early, but I think like the majority of us, as you were saying, Joe, have been more interested in what the defense was going to look like. And I know we got totally trashed based on that first game, but I felt like watching the game, I never thought like this defense sucks. Like it seemed way better than last year. We got the strip sack on Allen. We just got another one on Stafford. Like Zaven had that great sack on Allen get called back. So people were all complaining about the pressure and everything. And I was kind of going into this Rams game feeling like we could get 4 or 5 sacks just based on that beat up offensive line from what I had seen, the week before. And I don't know. I'm just totally like the D line, like they're, it might not be elite, but like JG's style of rotating guys in and out and then being backed up by, I would argue, one of the best linebacking groups in the league. And then obviously you got vets, back there playing safety, proven talents. So as long as the D line and the cornerbacks room can be formidable, and hopefully you get Darius Robinson back, and all of a sudden it adds some more juice to that D line, like we could be looking at, like, dare I say, like a 16th ranked defense, which coupled with a top 3 offense, all of a sudden you're flirting with getting a wild card win, and then like who knows what can happen. So I don't know. I'll end it off here with just saying, like, I love how much JG loves Kyler and Kyler loves JG, and how much like the team just loves the team. I just think we've never really seen it before, and it's special to see. So I'm on cloud 9 right now, man.
No, I love it. I love all of that you just preached right there. Shaw, how you feeling after the game? Main takeaway?
Yeah, main takeaways. I don't want to get too ahead of myself. So I'm kind of keeping it a little. I guess I'm dialing it back a little bit. But I just wish that Super Bowls and MVPs could be given out after week 2. I really do, because the way that this team played, like they did what they were supposed to do, and I can't say that about like this team. Like this team has done that in, I don't know, a long time, where you have an inferior opponent, you go out, you don't play with your food, you don't do none of that from the get go. Like they got to stop. First defensive possession of the game, go down, score, put the pressure on them, and it was just all gas, no breaks from there. And like we haven't seen that in a long time. It just felt so good to see that the offense was clicking, the defense was clicking. And I'm still kind of pessimistic, or not pessimistic, but I'm still in like wait to see mode with the defense, because we did go up against a team that was missing 3 starters on their offensive line. And, their best player was banged up, Cooper Kupp, and Matthew Stafford just looked like a shell of himself. And they did what they were supposed to do. So credit to them. But, man, if they can continue that and just even give us like half of that production defensively against the Lions, then yeah, man, like this team might be something to look out for.
Yeah, no, I'm with you as well. You have to have both sides of the cup filled, because I mean, my main takeaway was obviously that, like, for the first time, I think for the first time personally, I felt comfortable saying that Jonathan Gannon is my head coach, just because you go out there and you see the process that he built, and you hear the words that he's saying, but you didn't know if it could come to full fruition. You had good wins at the end of the season, Steelers, Eagles, and it was like Eagles win, could that have just been an emotional win for him, getting the team putting him on his back. But I think this entire week of responding to a game where you were heavily scrutinized within the media, maybe, however people talk about you, for Marvin Harrison not being able to get the ball down the end, or how the game ended, or how the team gave up a lead versus a very elite team, as we've seen over the past week and a half. And for them to come out and consistently say, it's about what we have in the building. I know Roy Lopez, Jake, you mentioned it all the time, what he said in his press conference during the week, just about how the guys are going to respond, how everybody on the team playing, there was no, heads down, there was no upsetness. It was all, positive vibes. How can we fix this? How can we get rolling? And Kyler mentioned it throughout after the game on Sunday. Good week of practice. You just heard a bunch of people say having a good week and just getting back to ourselves and just doing what we know how to do. And you can tell, like, Jonathan Gannon is a football coach. Like, you can tell he's a football coach. You can tell the biggest thing that I always had, and these guys know, Joe, like Cliff Kingsbury, like, he's a great coach. At the same time, he's not quite the leader of men that you may need at some points for some teams in some situations. And Jonathan Gannon, you can tell this week, to me, solidified that thought process of, like, this guy's a head coach. He's going to let his coordinators coach. He's going to let them game plan, but he's going to be there in their ear and in every player's ear, and every time, motivating them, having them right in the right spot. And I love that for himself, and I'm glad that he got that win in front of the home crowd, which he deserves. Big win, great win to start the year, obviously. So obviously, I want to start when we talk about offense. You got to start about the guy behind under center. Literally couldn't have had a more perfect of a game. At some points, 4 passes missed, but perfect passer rating on the day. Only the second Cardinals quarterback ever to do that behind Kurt Warner. I know we're kind of younger fans at some aspects. So Kurt Warner, he was a thought process for us, and Kyler, we really get to dig into him deeply as a quarterback. But glad to see that for the franchise, that their second ever quarterback to have a perfect passer rating in the game. And just other than targeting Marvin Harrison Jr. on his big routes that we'll also get into him, every throw right on the money, right on time, right where it needs to be. And I know a lot of people made the talk about him, talking about that's not my job. He didn't say it like that, obviously, but we know that on this podcast, we don't have to get too deep into it. We know as Cardinals fans, he didn't mean that, but the job is for him to throw to the player that will be open in the play progress. And you saw that happen throughout all day. Marvin Harrison Jr.'s first touchdown, multiple passes to Trey McBride. It's the Trey McBride's pass at the end. That was just I'm just hot. I'm just going to throw it. It is what it is. But just seeing him get to where it needs to be with the ball, and even seeing, stuff meat left on the bone for them to attack with Marvin Harrison Jr. missing a couple of those passes. So just overall, the aspect, Joe, I guess, Joe, we can start with you, just Kyler Murray's performance on Sunday. Like, where does that rank in terms of, some of the best Cardinal performances you watched at quarterback?
It was his best performance of his career, and I think easily. And he's had other good performances. I am hard pressed to think of a better performance. I know there probably have been comparable ones, with more touchdowns and more yards, but like the yards weren't crazy, and there was 3 touchdowns, right? And certainly there have been better games in terms of raw stats, but when you look at some of the more advanced metrics and you take it within the context of what their offense is, like they had 250 yards rushing or whatever it was. Like, this is a run heavy offense, right? So their style of play is run the ball, and then have the passing game just be deadly efficient, right? That's the model. And that's what they did to perfection, like 200 something yards rushing. And then just, as you said, the maximum passer rating, his QBR was like 98.3 or something like that. And that's on a scale of 100. His PFF grade was the best. And I tweeted about this. The PFF has a stat that I really like called big time throws. And then they also have a turnover worthy throws, which I think is an interesting thing to look at because, like, again, you do a dump off pass to Alvin Kamara and let him run it however many yards for a touchdown. That still counts as a lot of yards in a touchdown, but most of the work was Alvin Kamara, right? If you're Kyler Murray and you throw a big time throw, that's a whole different level of difficulty, right? Degree of difficulty. So, and then turnover worthy throws also give you an idea if someone's getting away with stuff, right? So like, I like looking at those stats. And he had 0 turnover worthy throws and something like, was it 7 big time throws? Like, and I tweeted this out, 27.3%, I think it was, over 27% of his throws for the game were big time throws, like more than a quarter. And like, for reference, the league leaders last year amongst quarterbacks who played at least, half of the maximum stats, like basically guys that were regular starters, was like 6% for the season. Okay, Kyler had a really good season a few years back where I think he had 8% for the season. Again, it's small sample size, 1 game, so that's going to regress to the mean. But like those big time throws, they don't give those out like candy, right? Those are I think they describe them on the website as like the Eli Manning to Mario Manningham throw, right, in the Super Bowl, that one where he just got it in this amazing spot. So like that throw to Marvin Harrison in the back of the end zone was a big time throw. Like, he threw it where only Marvin could get it. And Marvin had to make that play, had to drag his toes, like at next level, right, difficulty. So like, those big time throws and lack of turnover worthy throws and the play and the grades and the pass ratings, they show you that like, this wasn't just any other, however, 200 whatever yards and 3 touchdown game. This was like near perfection. Like the 4 incomplete, like the one, where he overthrew Marvin. Okay. I mean, every quarterback's gonna have a few throws like that, but like this was as close to a perfectly played game as I've ever seen by a quarterback that I've watched.
Yeah, it was a hell of a performance by K1. Jake, talk to me. It's in the name. Kyler Murray wins. This is what he did. Kyler Murray won. And he had literally quite probably obviously his best performance up to date. How does it feel for you to vindicate, what you've been saying for a long time of Kyler Murray's success?
Yeah, man, it's just that as you put it. Yeah, it's a special feeling, man. I actually got to watch the game. I was on Cape Cod watching with like 5 of my buddies who are just notorious like Kyler and Cardinal haters. So like you guys don't even know. You probably do, but like just that feeling of like watching that and just drinking beers and just pure bliss, right? Like nothing went wrong. And like they were even starting to say stuff about like, like MVP like conversation and like if he can play like this, he's easily a top 10 quarterback in the league and blah blah blah. And it was funny. Like I was trying to like to take a quote from JG and Kyler. Was just trying to stare at my feet where as far as where the game was at, and like I really didn't start to feel comfortable until like 21-0, and then I was like, all right, like because it's the Rams, it's the Cardinals. We've all seen this story play out. And something I did want to highlight when Shad was given his initial recap about the Rams having the lineman out and Puka and then Cup eventually, but just less than a week ago from our game, that Monday night game or Sunday night game, Detroit versus the Rams, excuse me. That was pretty close. Like that, the Rams almost came away with that, and they were playing with a pretty similar deck of cards in that game as they were in our game. So I think their lineman that went out in that game, it was pretty early on, and Stafford was making like Jordan Whittington look good, Tyler Johnson, like Demarcus Robinson, like you know what I mean? Like in that Detroit game, Stafford was still doing Stafford things. And I was almost worried about that because I was like, here we go, right? Like flashback to the COVID game playing the Rams where they had like half the team out on, like the COVID list and they still went in and kicked our ass. So I was starting to get nervous about that, but we just went in and just handled business. And Kyler was cool, calm, collected. Like that second touchdown to Marv, the guy literally, like escaped a messy pocket and just kind of like skipped over and just like basically flicked a booger of a pass. It just a lollipop throw just perfectly into Marv's outstretched arms. It was nothing short of poetry in motion. And yeah, it was just great to see, man. Like especially to hear like Marv afterwards say, like with one back there, like this offense is capable of like essentially like the Super Bowl, right? Is like what he's getting at. Like he's like when with one back there, like we can be the best, and at least from the offensive standpoint. So it was just great to see, man. That was one of the greatest games I've ever seen Kyler. Probably the greatest game, like Joe said, I've ever seen Kyler play. So yeah, man, I love the guy, I love the team. So it was special for me for sure.
Sean, how you feeling? That was impressive.
It's crazy because like it was impressive, and as I was watching it, like I'm like, yeah, Kyler's balling out, but like for it to be like his best game of like his career, like I don't know, just watching it, I'm like, yeah, he's not missing no passes, this and that. But I wasn't even really thinking about that until Marv came in his press conference and was just like, yeah, I saw Kyler have 4 incompletions, they all went to me. And then I started thinking, I'm like, he threw it to McBride. He hit Higgins for a touchdown. McBride caught a couple passes. Now that I think about it, his first pass was incomplete. He missed Marv for 2 fades, and then he just overthrew him one time. I'm like, that's it, yeah. And I mean, yeah, man, it was just a crazy performance. Like I've never seen Kyler play like that outside of, I want to say the one game that just comes to mind was the Dolphins game, but I think he threw a pick that game. So like. No, man, like he was just clicking on all cylinders, and like, there's been a meme going around on Twitter. I know y'all saw me tweet where it's like define locked in. Kyler Murray has been locked in since the offseason. He didn't need a preseason to get going. He came into the Bills game, and if we just had a little bit better defense, I feel like we could have pulled that one off. But this game, man, against the Rams, against a beat up Rams team, like he did what he was supposed to do, and he honestly went beyond that with literally a perfect game. You can't ask for more from Kyler. I guess some more offensive takeaways I had. I was going to be upset if the first play of the game was not a pass to Marv. I was glad that we got that out the way with the first play of the game. And for once, I feel like the refs kind of messed with us and gave us that touchdown that Marv made in the back of the end zone, because it was a little close, if you ask me. But I'm glad that they messed with us and they gave us that. Man, everybody balled out. I don't know if y'all like went back and watched the game, but one of my favorite plays from the game was the pass to Trey McBride on the sideline, where it was just kind of like a Kyler, like we ran a play action, and I don't know if y'all saw, like during the play action, he kind of peeked over mid handoff or mid fake handoff to see if like the defensive lineman was coming, and knew like, okay, yeah, he's not coming. I can just sit here, set my feet, lob a perfect ball to McBride, and it was on the money. So that was probably my favorite play of the game. But
was that the one where McBride jumped up for it?
Yeah, over the linebacker on the sideline. Yeah, crazy catch.
I tweeted about
crazy
that.
Catch.
I tweeted about that play after it happened, that like this is the kind of plays you get when you have a star quarterback and a star tight end. Like, like average or decent quarterback and tight end don't necessarily make that play, right? But when you have guys catching and throwing that are both elite talents, those are the kinds of plays you get that those things matter. That's why stars do matter, because especially at the quarterback position and pass catcher position, because like that, the 2 touchdowns to Marvin, without a star quarterback and a star receiver, those aren't touchdowns, right? And so like an average or slightly above average quarterback and receiver, you don't get those plays, right? And so that this becomes, maybe if your defense plays out of their mind, maybe this becomes a 24-10 game instead of a 41 if you don't have stars. So having guys that can make those next level plays, but what you need to have it work is they have to also make the consistent plays, which is what Kyler did this game.
Yeah. I don't know if y'all noticed, which I feel like is kind of like an underrated. I don't know if it's an underrated part of Kyler's game, but like I can tell he's like cooking when he starts doing stuff like this. It was a couple plays where he was doing play action or like boots or whatever, and the ball fake, like I don't know what he was doing with the ball. Like either he had the ball to his chest or something. Bro, I knew he was locked in. I'm seeing this man literally like switching up how he's faking the play action. I'm like, yeah, he's cooking right now, bro. He's locked in.
He fooled me a few times
behind the back, like he like did a little skip. I know exactly what you're talking about. I thought the same thing, right? Like, all right, this guy, like he's in his bag right now. Like this is, you know what I mean?
For sure.
Yeah,
for sure,
definitely.
But yeah, that was a good game from him.
Yeah, highlight Kyler is always the best Kyler, and it's just it's beautiful to see, because we know obviously his talent, and I'm glad to see that he's able to display that back to the world. That they acted like he didn't have it or he lost it because he got hurt. So. But that's on them. But it's just, for me, offensively, the one more thing I wanted to say before we switch over to the defense is it's crazy to think that we possibly have we know we have a star quarterback, one of the most underrated running backs in the league, who puts up star numbers in my opinion. So I'm going to call him a star running back.
For sure.
You have an upcoming possible star left tackle, an upcoming possible star wide receiver, and you have a star tight end. That's literally every piece of the positional function when it comes to offense. And then if you fill those pieces in with depth pieces, so if said players were to, get hurt for a game or two, they can come in and fill in. That's how you build consistent roster. That's how you make a consistent winner. And it's just good to see that offensively they have a cornerstone piece, they feel like, in every position. And even Trey Benson, who could possibly, take James Conner's place at one point of his career. I know he's not looking the best right now. So, but overall, just having foundational pieces in each slot is just, and they're also, as well as they're also young too. So that's a nice nucleus core to build around going forward. So defensively, want to talk about that real quick before we had to lose you, Joe. Defensively, I know you mentioned just how well they played to come out. But any other takeaways that you had defensively for that performance? Holding the LA Rams team to 10 points.
Well, obviously the offensive line for the Rams is a question mark, and you have to acknowledge that in terms of our pass rush. And I do think our pass rush is still a concern. We got to see them do it. Gardeck has shown that he can rush the passer, but if you don't want him as your best pass rusher on a team, Zaven, he's been up and down, but he's shown some flashes. So if he can if Zaven can become a good pass rusher, that's a game changer. Right. They're trying to develop him into that. That's the thing. Right. But I also think in general with this defense, JG is a defensive coach, and he brought in Nick Roush, a guy who a lot of people said was kind of a star defensive coordinator, kind of on the rise. Right. People just raved about him, and the defense was bad last year. And I think maybe even some people questioned their defensive coaching. And I really didn't, because the way I looked at it is they were trying to coach up replacement level, practice squad level players, and then young players who are more talented, but they're young, and young players are very inconsistent early on. So I wasn't worried, because okay, they're coaching these guys up as well as they can, but when you have limited talent, or the talent you do have is very young, you just can't coach it up enough, right? This year, those young players, a lot of them have one more year under the belt. Then they've added some more young talent. They brought in a few more pieces, free agents, guys, very kind of carefully identified who they brought in. They didn't go crazy, but, brought some depth at the defense. They went from, practice squad level defensive linemen to maybe average NFL defensive linemen, right? Ish, right? But that's an upgrade. And so now what you've done is you've brought enough talent in and developed enough talent that these coaches have something to work with to coach them up. The defensive talent still needs work. They need to add pieces, and they need the young pieces to get more experience. It's still not the best defensive roster in the league, or not even close. But there are more pieces, and they raised the floor. The ceiling in terms of the elite players may not have changed really. The elite players are still the elite players, Buddha, right? And but the floor raised a lot, right? And now these coaches have competent NFL players to try to coach up. And I think that's where we're going to see. And I think it's strategic. I think they went at it as a team building strategy to really hit on the offense first, and give the really focus on giving, the offense was close. So they just needed, a couple playmakers. And now, and with the defense, they've taken more of a slow and steady approach. And I think their plan was, let's trust our defensive coaches to coach up players, and we'll give them a little bit more, but we'll let the young players take their lumps, right? And then in year 2 and 3, you'll have guys like Garrett Williams now, who's in second year, right? And guys like that. So I think the defensive coaches are now, they have enough to work with. They can coach it up. It's not going to be elite, I think, every week, but they have enough talent that if they do a really good coaching job, they can coach it up to middle of the pack. And, so that, I think that's over. And I really like the cornerback room. It's young, but they're just I feel like so many people want us to bring in more veterans. And I think one veteran was enough. And you throw all those young guys in there, and you treat it like, the Hunger Games. Let's see who survives to become the starter. And unexpectedly, Starling Thomas has been the guy who's a starter and undrafted free agent last year, but has been solid, right? And played really well last week. And Garrett Williams seems to have locked down that slot role. And, the rookie, my brain is old. Max Melton has played well on limited snaps. And so he's got time to develop into that role. Keytrell is still you've just got these pieces now, instead of all those kind of washed undrafted free agents and practice squad guys. We've got guys that you just feel like, you don't know who's going to be, who necessarily is going to be the starter end of the season, but someone's going to be a starter, and they're probably going to play well. And I just like that. Create the competition, bring in guys that have the skill set, and see who rises to the top. So overall, I like where they're at with the defense. I like how they're approaching it. I've not been the person who's been clamoring for going and signing guys. I wouldn't mind if they added a pass rusher, but I also wouldn't mind if they let the guys continue to develop, because next year, then we'll have, when we draft a guy in the first round, all the guys that played this year got that experience instead of sitting behind, some free agent that we picked up.
I agree. Yeah. And to your point, I mean, I know when it comes to Starlin Thomas, I know he got beat over the top by Keon Coleman in a one play versus Buffalo. But other than that, I haven't really seen our defensive backs give up too many big plays down the field, like consistently seeing explosives come down. And I know Buffalo, they took chunks out of the field at sometimes or play by play, but it hasn't really been too much of down the field action that we saw that happened to this defense a lot, especially with Marco Wilson. A lot of down the field action that you saw be given up last year. So hopefully they can keep that up. But Jake, talk to me defense. I know you were just raving about this defensive line, how you thought they played. But how did you think the defense looked overall? Any takeaways that you had from there?
Yeah, I mean, not to be a dead horse, but like I said, like we really did see Detroit play a very similar team, just a week before the game we just played. And I don't know, like like I said, pre-game, I wasn't super confident that our defense was going to put on a showing that, like the one that they did. But if you can get a guy like Gardeck going, and like we've seen that before, right? So I'm not going to get too high on that because it was either last year or the year before. Like he came out and had like 5 sacks through like 2 games. We were like, holy shit! Like this guy, like where did he come from? But he's the barbarian, and like he's gonna have 18 sacks this year. And obviously, it just kind of like didn't happen. So I'm not gonna get too high on that. But if we can get production out of him, get the occasional sack out of Roy Lopez. A guy that I'm really excited about this year, and obviously he got home in this past game, and I know Corey's a huge, probably the president of the fan club, Zaven Collins, right? Like that. If you can get that guy going, like what is he, Corey? I know you know the specs, like 6'5",
6'5", about 265, somewhere around there.
Yeah, like he's a mammoth, right? And like clearly last year, like he had just gotten moved to the position, and like it wasn't great, but like just what I'm seeing, like the added speed this year, the bend, like some added moves in the pass rush arsenal. Like I think he's gonna go out and like I'm ready to make a bold prediction. Like I'm saying 10+ sacks out of him this year. Like in my opinion, he should already have 2, right? Like I feel like one was like unfairly stripped from him. So I think that's a guy that's gonna come out and have 10+ and like really, and that's a guy that you just lock down and like. Yeah. I think like to bring the whole operation into it, like that's a guy that Monty, like clearly Monty and JG have a great, like symbiotic relationship going on where they're in constant contact, which they've talked about. And I just feel like we were able to lock down Zaven. What was it? 2-3 years at like a very team friendly number. If you can get a guy like that going, like that's a guy that's going to be here for a long time. If you can get production out of the guys like Gardeck, Roy Lopez, when you get a guy like Darius Robinson back from injury, who is drafted in the first round, right? Obviously, you don't want to stake too much on a rookie, but if you have this rotating D line that can get at the passer, and then you bring in a guy like that who's just an absolute brute, like this defense is going to be a lot better than it was made out to be. And like I said, I'm not predicting anything crazy, but if we can be like a middling defense and, as Joe had said, continue to build up this homegrown talent at very low, contractual figures, it's gonna open up the wallet to, a guy goes down, or even like this year, like many people thought like, oh no, like, like 7 wins is a good season, right? Like, no, like maybe, we're about to be like a lot better than people think. And now we start approaching the trade deadline, and, you have all this space to go out and sign someone. So yeah, I agree with Joe. Like I really like how, the team is handling this, and JG came out and said, what was it, last week or the week before, or a couple weeks ago? He's like, like everyone, you guys are all freaking out about the defense and blah, blah, but like, I feel good about it. I know who we have in the building. And like, yeah, it's only been 2 weeks, but like, yeah, he looks like he was right. You know what I mean? So, and we do have this massive, cap space available where if we do feel like, hey, we're headed towards the playoffs and like, we want to go, win our first playoff game in 10 years, like we can go and sign someone and bring someone in to do that, or trade for someone rather. So, yeah, I feel good about it. I like the homegrown talent. I like where the guys are at. Like JG is obviously like this defensive backs, savant, and he's clearly, fostered this ultra competitive culture in that room. And to Joe's point, and I just really like the way things are trending there. Like those guys are constantly fighting for their spot. No one's safe there. They're all trying to win a starting role in that defensive backs room. So yeah, I think we got a lot of healthy competition going on, and I feel not even I feel optimistic about the defense. I really do. They've already surpassed what I thought they were going to look like. The one thing I do want to start seeing is need to start seeing some interceptions. I really hope we're able to get Goff this weekend. I think he already has like 3 or 4 on the year. So hopefully someone can step up and snatch one of those. But yeah,
we'll love that. We'll love to see that for sure. Shad, talk to me. How you feeling?
I mean, I'm feeling good about the defense right now. I kind of agree with like Joe's sentiments about how this team or this coaching staff and Monty has gone about kind of raising the floor for the defense, because it is a lot of guys out there now where it's like, at least it's NFL talent, right? Like, we have these DBs out here, and the less you hear their names called in the broadcast, the better they're probably doing. So that's been a good thing. My take though on the defense though, like I don't want us to get complacent. Like I don't want to see them get complacent. We do have money to spend, so like, I mean, if an opportunity comes around, like I don't want them to feel like, oh, okay, well, we just want to let these young guys kind of develop. Like, no, like go after like somebody. Even though things have been going good now, like I mean, we played a beat up Rams team. We played the Bills, first game of the season. We'll see how things progress further along down the season. But like, if an opportunity presents itself, I like definitely want them to go out and maybe get a pass rusher or somebody that they can add to help the team. Obviously Darius coming back, like we haven't had Darius the entire season. That's a whole first round pick right there. Like people act like we don't have 2 first round picks on the team, and we've been missing Darius, and outside of him, thankfully, knock on wood, we've been avoiding the injury bug when it comes to defense. So that's been a good thing, and I think the most I guess impressive thing thus far that I hope kind of continues is the run defense being significantly improved. I feel like if the run defense is just middle of the pack, like not bottom 30 where it's been at the last couple of years, like the rest of the defense will we'll be able to get by, as long as we can stop the run first. And I think we only gave up like 40 yards rushing against the Rams, and I think most of that came like in the fourth quarter, like half of that came in the fourth quarter. Yeah, so no, I mean defense balled out against the Rams. Gardeck had a great game. Zaven had a great game. Pretty much, I mean, everybody had a great game for the most part. The only honestly, Buddha, I was just about to say that. Buddha looked fast. I haven't seen Buddha play like that in a long time. He didn't play like that at all last year. Right. But you could tell from the get-go that he was playing fast. He felt comfortable in the defense. And I think he's mentioned before that, like, this is his favorite defense that he's been a part of from a scheme standpoint. So, I mean, outside of his one little mishap that he gave up a deep pass or something like that, he played a hell of a game. If I had to give a defensive MVP, I know Gardeck had 3 sacks, but Buddha, he was doing his thing. But I'm cautiously optimistic about the defense. As long as they can continue to stop the run, then I'll feel good about them. But we're gonna see what they can do this week against the Lions, because I think the Lions had like a top 5 offensive line last year or something like that. So we'll see.
Yeah. Lions have arguably the best offensive line in the NFL, in my opinion. When you look at their talent and how they grade out, it's hard to find a better one.
Yeah. We'll so I appreciate you, Joe, for coming on. I know you got to head out for your show, so we appreciate you stopping in for a little bit. We'll hopefully look to join in with yours at some point going forward, but we appreciate you stopping in, and we hope have a good show, and thank you for your insight as always.
I appreciate the opportunity to hang out with you guys. It was really good to I know Shad, I've talked to you, and good to meet Jake, and you guys are doing good work here, and glad to come on anytime.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate you.
All right.
Thank you.
Peace, guys.
All right.
See you. Yeah, so I mean, personally, I know I didn't get a chance to talk defense yet, so I'll give into a little bit. Like personally, like I enjoy what I saw. Obviously, holding the Rams to 10 points is always, something crazy. Obviously, I didn't expect that. I told Jake, I know I had a tweet for you talking about I had cup ladders over everything. I thought he was gonna have like 125 some yards, and we were gonna be fighting for our life most of the time. But it was good to see defensively. I know you guys mentioned Buddha, he was flying around, and you kind of saw a lot of when Cooper Cup comes in motion, Buda Baker's going with motion with him. And anytime that he ran any of those flat routes, short routes, Buda Baker was right there. So that was very impressive to see him, his man coverage in the underneath process of the game. I know Cup had that one big play that he literally got hurt on the most, where I think Jalen Thompson rolled up on his ankle. But it was good to see defensive line get active, as we said. Dennis Gardeck. I mean, that's where I'm cautiously optimistic about the defenses at the defensive line. Like um, Jake, we shared the same sentiments from week one about how we thought they had Josh Allen under solid duress enough for the point where he had to make plays and run out of the pocket. And then this week we saw, like as Shaw mentioned, a banged up offensive line, and they took advantage of that. So I'm nothing but happy that they took advantage over that, and that was a huge process on you having success in this game. But as we mentioned, going against Detroit, I got to see good run defense, as Shaw mentioned again. And I got to see if you can make Jared Goff uncomfortable, because whenever he throws those picks, as we mentioned, that I feel as though Matthew Stafford didn't throw last week because there was a lot of pump faking in coverage sacks. I think somebody may have had, I don't know if it was David Collins or Dennis Gardeck, they had coverage sacks. Like, and that if you're telling me that you're making Matthew Stafford and the way that they run their offense, pump fake, hesitate, make second guesses about the passes that they throw, I know for sure that you'll have a chance to get Jared Goff, because he likes to throw quick and he likes to get the ball out of his hands. So defensively, I'm like, I'm still solid at where I was when it comes to secondary wise. I still think this group can be one of the top groups in the league when it comes to secondary. Um, like you said, Starlin Thomas had a cool game. Sean Murphy Button, you haven't really heard his name, and the metrics kind of match up with that. As you can see, he's kind of in the second and a half tier of cornerbacks when it comes to coverage ratings and EPAs allowed and stuff like that. So that's good to see from them. And then obviously you knew about the safety group, and as Jake, you mentioned your linebacker group. So defensively, it's nice to see that they can listen to their coaches, get week to week training, and get the week to week adjustments, and finally slow down a Sean McVay offense for the first time in forever. It feels like if Sean McVay's offense is rolling, it's because they can choose to run the ball whenever they wanted to, and or have success in the short passing game. And now you're seeing a lot of the short passing game getting taken away this year, which is what I'm loving to see, because I think that's the best way that teams can attack us most of the time. So you're looking to take that away. It's looking great. So wanted to shift back over to the offense, because I mean, we didn't really get a chance to isolate our guy Marvin. We mentioned it in our chat. We've mentioned it on this podcast here. Just the effect that he can have towards this franchise and this team overall. You obviously see the team impact when it comes to on the field. His production: 4 catches, 130 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Literally, I don't know if you could get a better home debut as a rookie ever, but just getting that aspect, and that's literally like the only feeling that he knows about going to State Farm Stadium. I mean, he went there a few times for his preseason games, but those are the preseason. When the games count, that's what he knows. He knows the fans getting electric. He knows making big plays on that field. He knows what that feels like. So that's great to see for me personally. But just Marvin in general, the Marvin effect, like, does that change maybe the outlook of the season and how things can process, and just how fans can gather? And it's not going to be so much of a halfway home game for for the Cardinals. It's more so a full home game with a few fans laying around. Just overall, Jake, just your feelings about Marvin, his performance, what he can do to impact his team future wise, and even currently right now.
Yeah, absolutely. We said it here on the show months back, during the off season, like when there was all this talk going on about trading back, like the three of us were saying loud and clear, draft Marvin, and like that alone is going to put asses in the seats. And fellas, it's very clear, like we had a home crowd. I swear to you, like I was keeping a keen eye on the crowd, and it was a red seat. Like that was one of the highlights of the game for me. Like I was listening, like Marv made that first catch and it was loud, like in the stadium. And that was just a hell of an investment by Bidwill and Monty to just say, F it, we're staying put, we're drafting this guy. And instantly, like, that has started to yield dividends. Like, I said it last week too. Like, yeah, he had a shitty first game, but that was his preseason. Like, for him and Kyler, that was their preseason, right? And like, they got that out of the way. And like, you even still saw like a little bit of that last week where Kyler was 17 of 21 for 266 yards and 5 rushes for 59 yards. And like, he could have been 21 of 21 with 5 touchdowns, right? And 300 yards. Like, dude, like that was there, right? Like, a couple of those fades that were just off the mark, right? So I think like Marv is instantly like doing what we wanted him to do physically, and then just his presence on the field. Because what does it remind me of? Yeah, not to get too like ahead of myself, but Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, and then Travis Kelce. Like, you have a guy in Marv that can blow the top off and literally make 2 catches for 2 touchdowns to start the game. And then, like, now they want to put some more emphasis on like covering him, and they're going to like, like they're going to cheat their safety over, and like, all right, that's fine. Like, we'll just hit Trey McBride on first down for a 9-yard gain, smashing into 2 defenders, like just short of the line to gain. And when you have that, it's just like all of a sudden you have defense on ice skates because, all right, we're trying to cheat over on Marv. Holy shit. Now we have Trey McBride who can literally just blow through guys, block his ass off, but he's also like elusive with the ball in his hands. Wait a second. Like, now it's 2nd and 1 and we can just ram James Conner for 9 yards, right? Like, this dude's literally averaging like 6+ yards a carry right now. And it's like, when you're able to do that, it's like, all right, now we're going to sell it on Marv. Like, we're going to keep a guy on like Trey, and we're going to try to like keep the box like stuffed as well because of Connor. Holy shit, here comes Greg Dortch. Here's 6'2" Michael. Like, it's like, dude, at some point, like, and this is like, these guys didn't play in the preseason at all. None of these guys played. So you're going to continue to see this grow, and no one's going to be able to stop this. Like, and in something that we've seen for the last like 5+ years is our defense has been terrible because the offense can't stay in the field. And what are we seeing this year? We're seeing consistent 5+ minute touchdown drives. Like, if you're doing that and you're letting your defense rest and stand there and talk to their D coordinator and talk to each other and communicate, and, hey, I was seeing this, like, like when we go back out, like, expect this. You know what I mean? And Buddha can really captain the defense, and Kaiser can captain the defense because they're not on the field every 90 seconds. It's like, dude, the team overall is just going to be a lot better. And this all starts, man, it doesn't all start, but like a big part of this is getting Marvin Harrison and just making your offense that much more dynamic. And it's great to see, man. I think things are going to continue to gel, and just everything else is going to amplify itself throughout all 3 phases of the ball, man. All 3 phases.
You feel like it completes whatever they've been trying to develop. And like you said, like, Shard, I know your takes on Marvin and just how you feeling about him having that success in that first game, or his first home game, I should say, and just what it can mean for us. Like, as Jake mentioned, it's a lot of ways that you can be attacked now, and it hurts. It's death by 1,000 cuts, in my opinion. But go ahead.
Yeah. Real quick before I even talk about the football part, like kind of Jake mentioned, you kind of mentioned, like, Marv just brings butts to the stadium. Like, he just puts people in the seats. And I know it's the Rams, and like they don't really have like a home field advantage either. But man, after that performance that they did, like, people are gonna be flooding to State Farm to see Marv and to see Kyler, because there's still meat left on the bones. Like you said, Jake, like, he missed 2 fade passes to him. Maybe I think there was another little lob or deep ball down the side of the field that he missed to him, where Kyler could have had 300 yards, Marv could have had almost 200 and 3-4 touchdowns. He did all his damage in the first quarter, and that was all he needed to do. And for the rest of the game, I mean, outside of the couple fade balls, I mean, they weren't really targeting him. I don't know if that was more so like maybe the defense started. I mean, probably the defense started shading him or playing him a little bit, with bracket coverages and doubling him and stuff like that. But I mean, it was kind of similar to how the Bills game went, right? Like the first half of the Bills, it's like, okay, James Conner's getting the ball, Trey McBride's getting the ball, and guess what? Everybody's happy when you're scoring touchdowns and you're putting up points and you're winning. Like nobody's talking about, hey, Marv didn't touch the ball for 3 quarters, but we won by 40 points.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So like, he's going to be an integral part of the offense, and I definitely feel like he was that like missing piece for them. Like he opens up a lot for the offense because we do have guys like you mentioned in Trey McBride and James Conner. Trey McBride, who's already a star himself, and James Conner, who's like the most underrated running back in the NFL. Like, I don't know, and honestly, James Conner. This is on a more personal note. James Conner is quickly, yeah, becoming one of my favorite Cardinals of all time.
Yeah.
Like how he interacts with the team, how he leads the team, the stuff that we see him do off the field. Man, that dude's a dog, bro. And I love him. Like,
for sure.
Like I want him to retire a Cardinal for sure. I know we got Trey Benson up next, but like,
yeah,
James Conner, like he brings so much aura to the team. It's crazy.
Totally.
I don't see why not.
It's crazy,
to be honest. But I'm definitely with you guys. Like the offensive success. I'm just looking back on it. Like now that I see this offense has been technically stopped only, in my opinion, twice, because there was 2 3-and-outs and there was 3 times. So it was 2 3-and-outs versus Buffalo. Those all came in the second half, and then there was a 3-and-out or a sack, I think, that we took.
A sack.
And I'm saying now when I'm saying strip sack, I'm not even counting that as us being stopped because that's just a crazy play that happened. I'm talking about like an offense, like you mentioned, like an offense not sustaining the drive. Like the formula, the constructing of the game plan, the play calling. I know it's very questionable not being able to get the ball to Marvin in the second game, but like just the structure of how they plan things out. And I think Buffalo's defense is just going to be, when we look back on the season, like, wow, this is really actually one of the best coverage defenses. Defenses are keeping things in front of them, as we saw versus Tyreek Hill. Barely had anything in the game that they played versus Buffalo
Took
as well.
The Tyreek under on that.
Literally, because it's just how they play defense. They just contain and corral wide receivers, especially if you're in a very dynamic one. So you have to take what's underneath, and you got to be able to run the ball. But just the sustainability of these drives is just so night and day process from what we know or what we've seen with a Kyler Murray-led offense. And I think that's what's taking people more of a surprise is like, okay, yeah, we hear the work that they're putting in. We see it because we watched the games last year of what they look like with the Cardinals. But it's like people didn't watch those games with Kyler. And so they assumed to see him running around, making plays, doing the Kyler Murray stuff. But now you get it in like 3 spurts, but the 3 spurts are massive. Like the play to Marvin, both plays to Marvin down the field where he scrambled out through it for a touchdown. And then the one where he scrambled out through it to Higgy Bear in the back. Like you see those collectively, but you also see him simple dump off pass, simple check down to Trey McBride, easy out route to Trey McBride, hand the ball off. That's how you sustain football drives. That's how you keep him healthy. And that's how you can win football games, because you're doing the correct things. And it's just to me, it's just so funny to see it night and day, where it's like you get your team isn't, like Jake mentioned, your team is not on the field, or your defense is not on the field all the time, because the offense is consistently having, and even if they don't score, even if they don't get a touchdown, they get a field goal, it's still a 4 or 5 minute drive, because they're having success on the ground. They're having at least 2 run plays on the ground per series of downs. So it's just it's a beautiful sight to see. I just love it. I can't lie. This offense is, the players that they have, the way that they play offense, it's a beautiful sight to see. And if you're going to tell me Kyler Murray is only going to average 25 attempts per game, but still be closer to 300 yards passing per game, sign me up all day, every day. Sign me up.
I just want to say too, like Kyler, I think the 3 of us know if he wanted to, he could have thrown for easily over 400 yards in this game. Like, dude, he had 17 completions for 266 yards, and they basically went away from the pass. Like
after the first quarter.
Bro, seriously.
Really,
like he easily could have thrown for like 450 yards in this game if they wanted to just absolutely bury this team. Something else I wanted to add, like, to all the guys that we all just previously named, like, if you have Elijah Higgins making sliding back of the end zone grabs, like, Then you got Zay Jones coming back. You have Xavier Weaver that everyone's clamoring about. Like, dude, this team is loaded. Like, this is one of the best. And you have Buda Baker, like, back to, like, prime Buda, flying around, blowing up Cooper Kupp, like, short of the line to gain, like, pulling him back. Like, again, you know, like, it's like, dude, this team is the best team we've had in a long, long time.
And then the thing is, like, we're the best team in a long time because of how they play, because of the players that they chose for said scheme, versus just having, oh yeah, we have JJ Watt, we have AJ Green, we have DeAndre Hopkins. We're supposed to be. We have Isaiah Simmons, 7th pick.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Like we have this player, that player. Oh, that's nice. I know their names, so they're apparently good. But versus, I don't know who Elijah Higgins is, but like Jake mentioned, he's making sliding catches in the back of the end zone, to the point where his quarterback turns around before he even catches it because he believes he's going to catch the ball.
Right.
Like, that's that belief in each other, that camaraderie, that love for each other. That's what those are teams that you know are together and to take a long way. And again, our first 6 of our first 8 games are against playoff teams, and then the other 2 were what I believe Washington, and then I forgot the other
Chargers.
team. The Chargers, but everybody loves the Chargers. So technically, you got 7 of your first 8 games versus teams that people thought were going to make the playoffs to start the year. If you come out of that at any point just treading water and you look decent, even if you take a loss, yes, hell yeah, sign me up for all that in the back half of the season, because that's the stuff that takes teams. That's the stuff that changes seasons. That's the stuff that lets teams go on, nice little runs. But I think we can compete with anybody the way we play, to be honest. And again, the defense
right now for sure.
The defense is the defense. We gotta find out what the defense is going to be, because it's hard to know. They had a great first half versus Buffalo. They had a shitty first half. I mean, they had a shitty second half. They looked great versus a bad offensive line and a team that's banged up. That's what defenses are technically supposed to do, is what they did versus that team. I need to see you versus a Lions team that, Amon-Ra is a little banged up, but other than that, he plays. He played with a torn pec last year, so I'm going to count everything that he does. Jameson Williams, who's looking like the greatest thing ever since sliced bread that people are loving up right now. Sam Laporta, the running backs that they got, the offensive coordinator with that offensive line. You do anything to give me 3 to 4 stops a game, as we mentioned with like all the time, or at least I mentioned all the time about this defense. You give me 3 to 4 stops a game versus them. Hell yeah, I think this offense can cook that Lions defense. Hell yeah, I think so, because of the fact that, one, I think Kyler Murray wants massive revenge. That shit, the game that happened last time versus the Lions, that's the game that people thought that his reputation was really in the bed at that point.
Yeah.
And so I think he wants massive revenge against the Lions. And on top of that, Jared Goff got another guy who you haven't beaten at home, haven't beaten in a long time. Like, the Lions in general, just being a team of hype. Like, I'm ready for Sunday because I want to see how this team responds to having success. I've seen how they respond to adversity. Let me see how you respond to success. Do you know how to stay consistent and maintain that? I just Sunday, I'm just so excited for that. But I guess
two things. I'm gonna say 2 things that we haven't done like in recent history is beat the Rams consistently and beat Jared Goff. We do those 2 things, I know this team is moving in the right direction. I mean, I know they're moving in the right direction now, but I know this year is about to be a special year.
Dude, yeah, I honestly, like, when we were first doing our projections too, like right before the season started, like, I think I was saying like, like ceiling is like 10 wins. Dude, I don't want to sound too crazy, but like, I genuinely feel that, like, and I'm not saying this is gonna happen. Yeah. I'm about to make a crazy take. Like, I think if everything goes right, like I do believe our ceiling this year is 13-4. And I know it's crazy to say. I'm not expecting that to happen. That's the absolute ceiling. Yeah. But dude, at this point, I'm expecting like 10 wins. I really am. Like I said, dude, Detroit played that Rams the Rams played that Detroit team very closely, and Detroit is regarded as like a top 5 team in the league. I think I saw power rankings today that had them like 4th. If you can go and beat that team and prove like, all right, we actually have a home field advantage now. Like, now we're getting consistent. We just went toe to toe with Buffalo, who's like a Super Bowl contender this year. Like, dude, now we're like about to play the Commanders, like a beat up Niners team. Like, dude, I was already on the book last night, like looking at the divisional title odds. Like, dude, the craziest thing, and like this isn't even just me talking out of my ass. Like we were plus 1,500 2 weeks ago to win the division. Do you guys want to guess what that's at right now?
Probably 850,
Plus
950.
25.
Plus 750.
Yeah.
Oh, 750. Okay.
Yeah.
Bro, that's big movement in 2 weeks. That's huge.
Yeah.
Like, that's cutting the odds in half. So I'm not saying that's going to happen, but like this is the way things are trending. Like we're checking the boxes. We got the right guy at the helm in Monty. We got the right guy, or I guess in the back office. We got the right guy at the helm in JG. Like, dude, we have the players. Things are really trending up. And if you can go out and win this weekend, all of a sudden, like we're looking at, getting to 3-1 through the first 4 games in this gauntlet that we had just, like preseason that we were all looking at. So
Yeah.
I don't know, man, things are getting kind of crazy out there in the desert.
Yeah. If they
No,
go ahead.
I was gonna say no. We definitely look like a playoff team right now. Like,
Mhm.
and if Super Bowls and MVPs could be handed out like week 2, like I feel like we getting some of them awards. You know what I'm saying? But like,
Mhm.
I just man, I just hope that going into this Lions game that Drew Petzing doesn't piss me off and he's still on his aggressive shit. Like,
Yeah.
just come out. Go ahead. What you about to say?
No, I mean, I feel like you're kind of about to say the same thing I was going to say. It's just you have to. You want to obviously stay away from Hutchinson, but you're not going to be able to stay away from him. So just embrace that he's going to attack. Just embrace that he's going to attack Beacham on the right side and consistently have a chipper, consistently have a tight end on that side. I mean, if you can come out, like I think both of Marvin's touchdowns was on. I think they said 13 personnel. You come out there and 3 tight ends. He's not getting past anybody. I don't give a damn who he is and what it comes out to. He's not getting past anybody if we go out there and we're able to score touchdowns and be dynamic in 13 personnel. I don't know many other teams in the league that will have that much success in 13 personnel as we might have success in 13 personnel this season, because they don't treat Tip Ryman like a receiver. They treat him like an extra blocker. So they put 6 blockers out there instead of 5, and then people think, oh well, we're not going to pass the ball anymore. Like we're going to run it because we have the 3 blockers, or 3 tight ends. Like Drew Petzing, great bounce back, but I'm telling you, if he's able to cook up with this consistently, we got something crazy brewing when it comes to offense.
Ultimately, too, what's the best way to neutralize a guy like Aiden Hutchinson? In my opinion, it's to put together 5+ minute drives and just kill the guy. You know what I mean? Like, and honestly, like the Lions' offense just doesn't scare me that much anymore from what I've seen the last 2 weeks. Like, they're having some struggles. If you can neutralize their home run hitter in Jameson Williams, like keep guys back there. Don't let him, because I think he's had home run plays in each of the first 2 games. You can neutralize that. Like, I don't know, Gibbs looks a little bit slower this year. Like, obviously Montgomery's a threat at the goal line, but we've looked good against the run. So I don't know, man. If you can get the Goff early and you can put together some of these long drives, like, I don't know, man. But I am curious. What do you guys think the ceiling is? Because obviously, like, I'm the egregious optimist, but I'm curious to see. Like, we're talking everything goes right, we stay healthy. Like, what is the ceiling for you boys?
I'm still holding on 11 wins. I'm not going any higher than that. Like, just because, man, something in me, like the Rams are bad, man. They're bad. But the most encouraging part about the Rams game is that we did what we were supposed to do. We went out there, we hung up 40 on them. We should have had 500 yards of offense if it wasn't for Clayton Tune like dropping the ball. Like, we probably would have had almost 50. We probably would have scored that drive.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, that's the optimistic part. But once I see how we play against the Lions, like, I know if we come out against the Lions and we play any type of way like how we played against the Bills for the first half and then carry that over into the second half, then yeah, I'm gonna be talking a little bit different, because then at that point we probably gonna be looking at 3-1, and going into the banged up Niners game, I'm gonna be talking real different, real different for sure.
Yeah, I think I'm probably similar. I think like everything goes right, 11-6, 12-5, like somewhere around there, just because things happen. I mean, you already got 1 L out the way, but like just if everything goes right, I mean, I don't know how they could be stopped offensively. Just if everything goes right. Like I'm trying to envision how coordinators want to play us now because of the fact of you can't sit in too high all the time because they will run the ball very well.
Right.
And if you do sit in too high, I mean, if you do sit up there, obviously they're going to run the ball. But if you want to bring somebody down the box because you're getting bludgeoned on the run game, then it's one-on-ones to our elite. I hopeful elite receiver on the one side, and then Michael Wilson, who's bounced back very well last week or this week, I should say, made a couple contested catches, looked good. So and then obviously Trey McBride up the middle as well, attacking your safeties, attacking your linebackers. I think 12-5 would be my ceiling. I think for sure. Just optimistically wise, 12-5. Just you get some big wins, you have some maybe duds here and there, but I think 12-5 is and that's something that we can only hope for and pray for. And I think 12-5 definitely easily wins you the division. I know Seattle's 2-0, but they still got to prove to me that they can beat somebody good. So
yeah,
we'll see. So we'll see about them.
Okay, fair enough.
But I was thinking about your one thing. I do hope that it is some type of home field advantage. But this week, I honestly personally don't think so. Just because I think a lot of Detroit people are going to come to that game. It's just how it goes. I mean, the Southwest stuff. People come from the northern states, the colder states, quote unquote, to go down for the nice warm games. So I don't know how much of an advantage it'll be, but we'll see. I mean, you make a couple plays, you shut that up immediately, and then next you're rolling with your fans, and your fans get to talk. They talk in there, so it'll be interesting.
Oh no, I feel like you might be surprised, Corey. I think it's going to be a decent amount of people there.
You think so?
I hope so. I think so, man. I think the Marv effect is real, man. Yeah. I think the Marv effect is real. And like people in Phoenix are probably just going to be like, "Yo, we got to go see Marv.
Right?
Like we got to." So
no, but I think you're both right. Like I totally agree, Sean. Obviously, I said that earlier too, but Corey, there's definitely going to be a lot more blue than there was this past week. Like we know that, like you said. I mean, luckily it's still like kind of warm in like these northern states, but yeah, we'll probably see a lot more blue in comparison. But I still think we will get more of a home field advantage, just being that okay, this team is legit. Like people are gonna. Who wouldn't want to make the drive? Like, there's no traffic in Arizona. Like, go drive to the stadium, bro. Get some tickets, get a few beers, some food, and enjoy the product for once. Like,
agree.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, any predictions that you guys want to give for this upcoming game? I think the one personally for me, not so much of a score prediction. I hope the Cardinals win. I'm bullish. Obviously, I got to see what the defensive line looks like versus that run game. They're able to run the ball. I think it'll be a long day for us, but at the same time, I think we'll put up our points in our own. So it could be a crazy shootout in that aspect. But any thoughts personally, what you guys think about this game? Any matchups you guys want to see? I think my main matchup is obviously going to be, I think, Kyler Murray versus Aaron Glenn. And I think that I know a lot of people don't say quarterback versus defensive coordinator as a matchup, but he schemed up almost the blueprint. I know a lot of other teams did it, but the main blueprint how to stop Kyler Murray, and that defensive game plan, what they did in 2021, ruined everything for us that season, and that was kind of like the beginning of the end. I want to see how Kyler responds to what he's going to come out there with, because they're going to come out with the same game plan. It's almost a given. Obviously, you got to attack it differently, but they're going to come out with the same type of game plan. How has Kyler Murray learned from that? I know he mentioned how he's watching a lot of 2021 tape, I think. Or he mentioned that, and I think, Jake, you also mentioned that you were doing that. But just going back and seeing his flaws in that game, what they were trying to do to him. If they try to do something similar, is he going to be able to have success for it versus it? So I think that's my main thing I want to look at, because you're not going to go perfect passer rate in every game, but can you be above average and consistent is what I want to see coming out of him. So, Jake, what are you thinking about? Any matchups that you're looking for? Any predictions that you want to give for this game versus Detroit?
Yeah, I think that's a great point, Corey. And I totally agree with that sentiment. But I don't even know who's going to be covering him, but I really like big production out of Greg Dortch this week. Because, yeah, obviously in these games where we're going to go against defenses that aren't as strong, like the stars are going to shine, Marv and Trey. Those are obviously your two best pass catchers. It's not even close. But in these games where you're going against better defenses, like, yeah, we do have guys in reserves that can still burn. And I think a guy like Greg Dortch is going to go and eat this week.
Now, I will say, I don't mean to cut you off. I do think No, I was gonna say Brian Branch. Is Brian Branch not getting him in the slot?
Oh, maybe. I would think that he might be on McBride, right? But I don't
Okay,
know.
okay.
I
No,
don't know
matter.
how they.
Yeah,
I don't know how
McBride
they.
props.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about McBride props. They try to do that because
But then who's on Mike? Like,
Well, they got two
they got
rookie
Rakestraw and then what's the
corners
name, right?
in
Rakestraw,
Terrion Arnold.
Arnold, and then I
Yeah.
think they also had who's buddy? I can't think of his name right now. He's a little bit of a vet. I can't think of his name. Carlton Davis. They got Carlton
oh,
Davis as well
from
from Tampa.
Tampa, yeah.
So they got 3 cornerbacks on the outside, but I mean, shit.
All right.
They do Brian Branch versus Trey McBride. I'm telling you, Trey McBride is having a day.
Yeah.
I love Brian Branch, but he's too small to hold
Right.
up with Trey McBride. So,
all right, I guess that's fair. Yeah. All right, maybe I would pivot then to McBride having the day, but no, I think like a prediction, like you were saying that I kind of have is Kyler had 57 yards rushing on I believe 5 carries in the first game. He had 59 yards rushing on 5 carries in the second game. I think if I was a betting man, which obviously I am, but I would never bet against the team. I think Kyler's rushing yards go under. Just like you said, given the way that they played him in 2021, and I would assume we're going to see something similar. But no, I think we could see a massive day out of James Conner, and I think Trey Benson gets going in this one. So I would probably. Oh, and additionally, I wanted to say earlier, my most improved player from week 1 to week 2. Obviously, Marv's easy answer, but I would say Kelvin Beachum. Like, what the hell happened? Like, totally different, right? Like, the product on the field was incredibly different. So, I'm looking forward to seeing how that side of the line holds up against Hutch. So, I guess that's probably my most intriguing matchup.
Yes, shout out Beach.
Yeah.
150th start. Like, guess he did it for his family. His whole family was there. Can we get his whole family there again next week? Lord Christ, please, let's get him there. Sean,
I feel like.
Go ahead.
No, I was about to say, I feel like a lot of Beach's success probably just came from the fact he wasn't going up against a 13-year vet or however long Von Miller's been in the league. He had a couple of rookies that, he probably has some veteran knowledge at that right tackle position that he can kind of get away with some stuff.
Agreed.
So, but in terms of the Lions game, I don't know if I have a prediction, but the thing that I'm looking forward to most is probably just the defense. Like I want to see like how we fare in the run defense, but I kind of have a feeling that they're going to try to get the ball to Laporta, especially if like I know Amon-Ra, even though he plays banged up, but like Laporta hasn't done anything in the last couple of weeks, and I feel like now could be a prime opportunity for them to try to like get him the ball. So whatever matchup that is, whether that's Jalen Thompson or Buddha with Laporta, I'm just probably gonna be looking at that just to see if they can take him away, because right now like we notoriously were getting killed against the tight ends for the past like 4 or 5 years, and no tight end has really done anything against us.
I think
so
we
far.
first against
And
tight ends right now, first or second.
yeah, like Dalton Kincaid didn't do anything, and I think Parkinson only had 1 catch.
Yeah, I had
So
him on
like,
fantasy. He had 1 catch. Crazy.
yeah, he only had 1 catch. So like, Laporta's probably the best that we're gonna see right now. Early in the season. Well, I guess you get Kittle too, but so far he'll be the best tight end that we see. So see if we continue that streak of shutting down tight ends.
I wonder if that'll be. I know Mac's not. I know you want Mac up front, but I would love to see Mac kind of if he has to carry him in coverage sometimes, or even Garrett Williams if they had to carry them in coverage sometimes. This will be a nice chess game. I think this matchup of coordinators will be interesting on how Nick Rallis can game plan for an offense like this, because this is a super dynamic offense. How does Nick Rallis handle this? This will prove to me if Nick Rallis is one of them, because if he's able to slow it down a little bit, I would think that he is one. If he struggles with it, I mean, if dudes are running wide open, I'll be pissed off because.
Yeah, just watch the Bucks tape on repeat this week, like whatever
literally
they're doing.
Literally, and I know Todd Bowles, great defensive coordinator, great defensive head coach. So he's always going to have that defense set. But you also have one of those in the defensive head coach, and Nick Rallis. If you want to be a great defensive coordinator, games like this it's where you can make your money. Yes, because Ben Johnson is likely to have a job at some point at the end of this offseason. So you have a good game and a good showing against him. That'll work well for you. So I feel like Ben
Johnson might have kind of ruin his
He
opportunity.
lost his chance.
Not really lost his chance, but like he's not number one now, or at least I don't think he's number one now in terms of offense.
Yeah.
That dude Clint Kubiak looking real nice in New Orleans.
Yeah,
I agree. So we'll see about them. I think I do want to give a score prediction. I think I like us. I can't. It's just something in my heart. I think I like us. I think I want to give us like a 30-27 win. I feel like this is a game that will get a bunch of drama, and it'll come down to something, and we're gonna come down to it, and it'll be 30-27. I don't know how we get to stop on. Maybe they miss a game-winning kick, kind of how the Vikings did the one year. Something like that. So, but I like 30-27 Cardinals victory. I like this offense to keep it rolling. I like Kyler to, keep it rolling. I think he's super, like Shaw, you mentioned, he's super locked in. So just to see his success, we're so happy for him, proud of him, and hopefully he can continue and easily take his ascent back up to the top 10 quarterbacks in this league. I mean, people I don't even want to talk about it. Look at the quarterbacks the quarterbacks that are dominating right now. I feel like people are trying to loop Kyler into that. No, those are great.
No.
Those are great stories. No, Derek Carr is a great story. Even Geno Smith at this point to me. Sam Darnold, great stories.
Yeah.
Kyler Murray is an elite player, and he's going to remain up there because he's an elite player. So, I'm ready for that to come to fruition for an entirety of a season. So, good to see. So fun times. Do y'all have any score predictions? Y'all didn't share any, but any score predictions, Jake? Ready yet?
I think I like us winning 34-31.
Okay.
I'm gonna say Prater hits like a 54-yarder to ice the game because he's an underrated part of the season so far too. The guy hasn't missed. He hit a nuke last week. I think it was from 57, and it was good from like easily like 65. So like he's back on his bullshit, man. Like he, you know what I mean? Like he's right where he needs to be, and like I have all the faith in that guy. Just such a chill, like just team first guy. I think we win 34-28 and just kind of like 34-31 rather, and he hits one. I agree with you, Corey. It's definitely gonna be like prize fighters going at it, just kind of trading punches. Obviously, you'd like to see a result like last week or even anything close to it, but it's only a matter of time before that offense starts getting going. But I really do like us again. I think home field, and we're able to take it the last second. So 34-31.
Nice. Shad, are you there, or you just want to see
football?
Man,
they gonna look back on this and say we all homers, man.
You damn straight I am. God damn.
I don't feel comfortable. But I'm gonna say 31-27 Cardinals. I don't feel comfortable about it. Just because I feel like this is the litmus test early on in the season. Both teams are playing really good, even though the Lions just lost. They're still playing good on offense. And I think they had a bunch of drives where like they just didn't end up with points or something like that against Tampa Bay. So I know they're gonna be looking to come out firing on all cylinders on offense. So it's gonna be a tough game. I wouldn't be surprised if we lose this one. If we lose it, I'm not upset. But I'm gonna just go ahead and say 31-27, dog fight. Like you said, we find a way to get it done.
Yeah, I don't think we need to. If we lose a close game like the Bills, I don't think we need to raise any red flags. Like the Lions, like I said, are top 5 in the power rankings right now. They're a great team. They've proven that. NFC title game last year. But yeah, then say we drop to 1-2, like you got to lay up the next week. So if we can, like I said, if we can go out and win this game this weekend, like it puts us way ahead of schedule with where the three of us wanted us to be coming out of this like 4-game stretch. So yeah, we'll see, man.
I don't know. You saw what Baker Mayfield did to them. I think Kyler Murray can go even crazier. That's just me though. But we'll see. I'm just. It feels good to be excited for Sundays again. I'm always excited for Sundays, but it feels good when your team is the one who is getting all the metrics, and I don't even care about the clickbait news. Give me all the statistical analysts and the people that are showing the charts and the graph charts and seeing the Cardinals and Kyler Murray and all your players and the positive sides of things. So that's what I love to see the most. All 22 people saying how crazy Kyler is. Welcome back, even though he's already been here. Just changing the narrative about himself and how people consume him again, and that's always good to see. And obviously, he just dropped another banger vlog video where we got to see a little bit of his inside game day. So, just getting him back as a person, as a creator of is beautiful to see. Obviously, we had that before the video game clause, so just to get that back now and in the aspect that he's comfortable with sharing, it's fun to see. So, yeah. Best first victory pod of the year. Hopefully, we're enjoying a ton of these, talking out, ball with you boys. I love it, and just what we got going on here. We had a great guest earlier, so another amazing pod. You guys have anything to say before we head off for the day?
We got at least 9 more of these victory pods. At least 9.
Okay, at least 9.
I like that.
At least 9.
Yeah, feels good, man. Great to jump on here and digest a win with the fellas. So feeling good. Hopefully we can keep it going into this week.
Yes, sir. Appreciate anybody that stopped by. And again, we will be up on podcast real soon. I'll try to drop a couple of that last episode as well. So, if you got a podcast, go ahead and share that with your people and, check us out. Appreciate you boys. And I'll catch you guys on the next one.
Yes, sir.
All right. Appreciate it.
Catch you guys.